All right, what is up, y'all? How's everyone doing today? Hope everyone has been well, doing all right. Everything being taken care of. I know Military Mike, appreciate you stopping by as always, and thanks for the closeness to retirement and checking in. Um, Today doesn't have anything specific that I am trying to get answered or look into doing. Today's just gonna be like I'm gonna just be on a spreadsheet and I'm gonna just be answering questions as they come through. So when people stop by, ask any questions, just go ahead, ask your questions. Feel free to ask. We'll be going into different topics, whatever the topics may arise, whatever questions people may have. That's what we're gonna try to basically push out. There's nothing gonna be specific, basically. Like I'm just gonna be working on the spreadsheet, just updating it, finding certain states and updating the information that I can and updating the spreadsheet as we go. So as you have any questions or anything pops into mind, anything doing with exemptions, anything with changes, anything with the CFR, the rating schedule, all that stuff, just make sure to put your question in there. Don't hesitate to ask any questions. Any question is a good question. There is no wrong questions. There's no stupid questions. We are all veterans here. We are all here to support one another and basically help and assist each other in making sure that everybody has the information and the correct information so that we're not spreading out misinformation, but we're getting information to previous service members and veterans, or even active duty service members, to get them information so that when it comes to their time to deal with veterans issues or any veteran problems, they're ahead of the game. Mr. Ken, hello, man. How you doing today? Appreciate you tuning in. But that's something that is just like we need to work on. I know there's plenty, and the good thing is, the great thing I see so far is that there's a bunch of channels now that are emerging for veteran assistance and stuff like that. There's forums and stuff like that, but I think us being able to work collectively as veterans together, I have to see about trying to get these people maybe like so we could do link up and do like a chapter or whatever. Oh, from Nigeria. Nice. I don't think I've ever had somebody from Nigeria tune in before, but appreciate that. But yeah, it's basically to try to get people. Why is message being retracted? I don't know why, but the messages like lately have been, they've been being checked off on and like checked a lot easier. Like the moderation. Yes, yeah, of course you're welcome, Mr. Ken. Of course. Everybody's welcome into my streams. There's no wrong person or not being able to be in these streams. These streams are basically for people to ask questions if they have anything to do with veteran issues. This is what I do every Sunday, so everybody's welcome here. There's like I said, there's no wrong questions or wrong answers. There are wrong answers, but we'll try to avoid wrong answers because what we're trying to do is educate everybody and give them the information they need to process. Because that's the one thing that we're dealing with right now is that we have a lot of because you're scared of the words. Oh no, there's none of that here. That's not something you have to worry about on this channel. I don't think that should be a concern for anybody on this channel. Everybody here is treated equally. There's no issues. Everybody gets the same treatment. Now, if you act a fool, then you get banned off the channel. But if you're here to learn something, educate yourself, this is where I would want you to come. And then just to educate you, because I do this every Sunday, just basically giving you information and letting you know, like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we're trying to learn. This is what we're trying to teach. And this is what we're trying to make sure everybody gets the advantage of doing. Unfortunately, I've noticed that with live streaming, it has gotten a bit worse when it comes to trying to assist people, because you do have people that just come into channels to just try to like bring you down and stuff. I've dealt with that a couple of times myself when it's come to it. I've recently started trying to do this same thing on TikTok, basically the Q&As on TikTok. I'm doing it on YouTube. I've integrated Twitch here and there to do that, so I can basically be on multiple platforms and try to assist veterans, because I know everybody's on different stuff. I know YouTube is the one that most people go to when they need to look for something or need a video on. So this is the one I try to do that. But I have noticed that when it comes to live streaming, you do deal with a lot of people that want to bring you down. They want to make you say something or get out of character or try to be threatening or intimidating. And that's one thing, is just like, I'm not for it. On TikTok, it's different, because the thing is on TikTok, you can have people actually come at you and say stuff, and it is bad for you to retaliate or, you know, go back at them, because then they can report you and it makes you look bad, I guess, and it makes TikTok look bad, because I'm not supposed to reciprocate them trying to troll or you know, do misinformation and stuff like that. I'm supposed to just like ban them and get rid of them, which I think is a better way of doing it also. But it's just, you know, sometimes you walk into certain places and certain situations where people are just trying to be disrespectful because they're on a, you know, on computer or on their phone, and it's easy for somebody to say something that they shouldn't say. And, you know, there's not really a big repercussion when it comes to it. So that's something that does happen. And it sucks when people have to deal with it. I do understand. I understand that myself. It just happens that way, that people do try to try to jump on people's streams just to say something negative or just to get a reaction. Like, there's some people that just, that's all they have on time. Like, they just want to just show up and just say something negative to somebody just to say something negative. And I think that's the wrong thing to do. Especially when it's something that is just like, hey, most people, if they're doing this, is because they're interacting with people, trying to learn from people, trying to educate people, or trying to be educated themselves. Like me, myself, I do these things. I don't know everything when it comes to this information. I don't know everything. But the thing is I try to learn the stuff. Once somebody asks me a question, try to interact with it, try to see where the correct information is, and then point people towards that direction so that they understand where it is that the answer is coming from and that they're getting the correct information. Because that's the big thing going on now, is there's like a lot of misinformation that's being come out with. And the thing is, oh, I heard this from so-and-so. So-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. Oh, my rating might lose because of this and stuff like that. But there's actual documents, there's regulations, there's laws and stuff like that that have been created to help assist veterans to solidify what it is that they're looking for and what it is that they're doing. The problem is that a lot of people don't understand that, and a lot of people just go off of word of mouth. So word of mouth is one of the biggest things that we're dealing with as veterans right now. Is just that, oh, I heard this was going to happen. And then the thing is that becomes misinformation, because you have people that keep on going and keep on claiming a certain thing. What about adjustment disorder? Is it considered chemical imbalance? Can it be service connected? When you mean about adjustment disorder, so basically, Ivan the Great asked, what about adjustment disorder? Is it considered chemical imbalance? Can it be service connected? Ivan the Great, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you have a diagnosis. That is the first thing that you need to get. So you have to get a diagnosis, basically explaining to and stating what it is that you're dealing with. Is it adjustment disorder? Is it a chemical imbalance? Which one is it? You have to have a diagnosis, and then from there, that's how you move forward. Because basically the VA is not going to go off of one or the other. You have to have that in writing. You have to have it solidified to basically state, hey, I have an adjustment disorder. It was diagnosed. I have a diagnosis from my military records. If you have a diagnosis from your military records of adjustment disorder, that is basically, it falls on the mental health ratings. And that'll be, you can file that as a claim. If it's diagnosed, the thing is how long have you been outside of the military? Because that's what falls into it. If you were within that 1 year mark of getting out, you can file basically everything, and they basically try to tie it in, and it makes it a lot easier. Once you're out of the military, even though it's in your medical records, you can claim it, and you can. So if it's in, okay, let's backtrack a bit. If it's in your medical records and you have the diagnosis in your medical records for it, What you want to go ahead and do is you want to go through your medical records, snapshot that out. So it's been 9 years. Okay, snapshot all of that stuff that's in your medical records that is concerning the adjustment disorder. Take all of that out. Make sure that is a separated document and make it into a separated document so that you have it basically separated from other claims. Because most of the time you're going to submit your medical records and the VA sees all of that. What you want to do is specify it, because it doesn't matter how redundant it looks. You specify, you have, hey, this is my adjustment disorder paperwork. You put all of that together. So when you file for it, you're filing and uploading it and putting it as adjustment disorder diagnosis. So that way it's easier for the VA rater to find and search for it, because it's like, hey, you provided the documentation showing that this is military diagnosed, it is military related and service connected. That's where a lot of service members have the problem, is that they don't specify or point out the issues that they have. A lot of people just think that it's just the medical records and you just throw in the medical records and the medical records is going to work. That's not going to work for you. You have to make sure that it's been 9 years. If you have any diagnosis from the outside, if you see another medical provider outside that you have maybe private insurance or whatever the case may be, make sure that you have a diagnosis from them and get a nexus letter. What makes it easier for you is that you have this diagnosis within your military record. A lot of people don't have that. Since you already have that, that's something that makes it easier for you to put into your claim, and they will see that it is service connected. So you won't have to deal with that fight as much as most veterans do, because most veterans don't have that connection, and that's where they falter. That's where they have that issue. But you having that, you can put that in there. It's service connected because you already got diagnosed with it while in service. So that's an easy one to claim. You shouldn't have a hard time proving that it is service connected when you got diagnosed within the service. So hopefully that answers your question. Because that falls into, let's pull up the CFR. Give me 1 second. I'll pull up the CFR, and that should showcase you and give you that information right there. Let's see, I forget which one it is. But you having it, even though, like I said, for most people, the problem is that they've been out of service for so long, and they have to service connect the issue that they have. You already have documentation showing that it was in service. So that makes it a lot easier. Thing is sometimes the VA may try to give you a hassle and may try to give you issues where 0% for Terapactac for asthma, 10% denied for sleep apnea. Can I challenge this? Hold on. So I'm not sure what's Terra. What is Terra? So Alex asked, 0% for Terapactac for asthma, 10% denied for sleep apnea, and can I challenge this? So I'm not sure what the 0% is. Can you explain that? You got 10% for asthma denied, because I'm not sure exactly like what the question is being formulated. Pactac for asthma. So you got 0 for asthma, and your 10% got denied for sleep apnea. Is that what you're saying? That's what I'm trying to understand, because it's just like you just wrote it out and I can't really figure out what it is that you're asking. The thing is like, look, you can challenge everything. That's the one thing. With the VA, you can challenge everything. There's no such thing as not challenging anything that you got or that you're claiming. You can always challenge it. Now, the thing is that you have to make sure you are prepared when you're making this challenge. Just because they said no doesn't mean it's a no. Because like I said, there's a lot of times where the VA rater may miss something, may skip over something that actually provides information if you provided it. Now, the question is, Alex, is what did you provide to show that? Because the PACT Act, what they're doing is they're doing that presumptive stuff for when you were in certain service areas and stuff like that. The question is was there a diagnosis or something while you were in service also? And do you have a diagnosis for the sleep apnea? Because the thing is you might have asthma. If that's service connected, but you got 0. Now, the question is for either one of those. For the PACT Act asthma, was that service connected or was that a 0? No service, in service. So if you didn't get anything in service, you have to get a diagnosis from an outside entity and basically have a nexus letter connecting those issues. So if you filed for the PACT Act and you got the issues through the PACT Act and they approve those and service connect them, you have to have basically have served in a certain area or been around burn pits to receive a decision. Hold, give me 1 second. So if it wasn't in service when it happened, you have to get a connection, a way of connecting that stuff into your service. If you don't have it in your service, you're not going to be able to do that. You have to have a way of connecting whatever was happened in service from outside. So you have to get a doctor, get a nexus letter, diagnose you with it, and then connect that. No, it's okay. I was just trying to understand what it was that you were saying. So Ivan the Great said, I just filed my claim and received appointments within 2 weeks. I submitted all my records and diagnoses. Is this normal speed? I have appointments this week. How long will it take after these appointments? So Ivan the Great, I cannot give you a timeline. That is one thing I cannot do. That is one thing that the VA does not provide. They don't give you a specific timeline for it. What they try to do is that when you have any claim, when you submit any claim, Alex, when you get the chance, just type out what you want slowly. There's no rush. I'm in no rush. I'll get to your question. I go through everybody's questions and I try to make sure I answer everybody. Well, I make sure I answer everybody. But Ivan, so there's no timetable. You usually get that C&P exam is for your claims. Be prepared for that. What I will give you is this. Hold on. The CFR. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to this link. If it lets me copy it. Hold on. Did it let me copy it? Why is it not letting me copy it? Give me 1 second. I'm getting the CFR for you. Why isn't it not opening up? Okay. So I want you to go to this. Ivan, what you need to do is that you need to go into this document. This is the Code of Federal Regulations. This is what you're going to have to look at, and this is what you have to look into to basically go off of what you are claiming. So literally in here, you can search for and look for everything that you are planning to claim. So if it's the adjustment disorder, you can go under the schedule of ratings, and that will go down to the mental health part or whatever it is, basically, whatever they diagnose you with. They will ask you certain questions pertaining to your claims. Now, this is for all your claims, depending on it is. You got to remember, when you're doing this, saying the finance were. Hold on. Because I got it on two different things, so that's why so military might give me 1 second. So go through the CFR, check the CFR, check the information that you have on there so that you have the information you need and know what it is that you're filing for. Remember, it's you stating how it affects you, how it doesn't allow you to do daily activities, and your range of motion, whether it's a joint or whatever the case, or mental, like it doesn't let you go outside, stuff like that. That's what you have to do. But the CFR basically tells you what ratings will get you what. Military Mike asks, he stated, I did my toxic exposure screening and took a pulmonary fitness test at my local VA. I received a letter 2 weeks later saying the findings were GERD, chronic fatigue, and hearing loss. Should I file? The answer is yes, Mike, you should file for those. Because the thing is basically if they did the test. So if the VA did the test and the VA found the issues, then it's way easier to connect. But the thing is you can file for it. They should say that. Now the thing is it service connected is the issue that you may run into. Because the thing is they found these issues that you are dealing with. Now, are they going to service connected is the other question. Because the thing is they're the ones that found it. So now the question is are they going to be the ones that actually designated as, yes, this did happen in service, this is service connected? I would still say you have nothing to lose by filing it. You have nothing to lose because of the fact that it's like GERD just changed. They just changed and updated it for what GERD can get you. Chronic fatigue, I'm not sure if that... I don't know if chronic fatigue is... Because it falls no onset. I'm trying to see what that would fall under. I don't know what chronic fatigue falls under. That's the only thing. But that's the one thing that everybody has to realize. Like when you're looking at this, you have to go into the CFR, visualize and see what it is that's going on. Because this is, hold on, let me see. Should change it. Like this is the CFR right here. So this is basically what, but it was a test for the Gulf War Explorers. Yeah. So what makes it easier for you, Mike, is that you were in those areas, you served in those areas, and it goes to it. But the same thing I've seen and I've read up on is the fact that issues are still pertaining to the fact that even though service members were found to be by the burn pits and stuff like that, sometimes they are still being denied service connection, which I don't understand how the hell that's happening, but sometimes that is happening. Does it hurt to file? No, because you can always appeal it and you can always say like, hey, this is the information, here it is. Or what you do is put those, the findings that the VA found and highlight them when you update them. Hey, GERD was established by this. This was, because the thing is you can also claim them as secondary. You don't have to claim them as primary, like the primary issue. Your first issue is like, hey, you did a pulmonary fitness test, they found you had GERD. So whatever it is that caused it is causing the GERD. See what I'm saying? So it's a secondary claim. So the GERD is happening because of the first issue. The chronic fatigue happening because of this issue. The hearing loss, well, hearing loss is hearing loss. That one is just like, that's, I think every service member should at least get like an automatic 10, the same way we get for tinnitus. The same thing is just like you have to connect those things, but you can claim them as secondary because of the fact that it's just like, hey, you guys found this because of the registry and you knew I served in this thing and these things develop from those situations. So you either can file it the regular way and just be like, hey, you guys found it and put it together, or you can file it separately and put it as a secondary claim to something else. So maybe if you connect it, but that's one thing I need to look into and figure out a bit more, because the service connection to like the Gulf, like the burn pits exposure and stuff like that, that I am not too aware of how you can use that as a secondary. That's something I've been looking into, because basically if you are under the registry and you fall under the burn pits thing, do you file any of those claims as a primary claim, or do you file it as a secondary claim coming from the burn pit exposure? You see what I'm saying? That's one thing that I don't think they've explained pretty well. Is just like, hey, you have the burn pit exposure, but they're not connecting it and saying it like, hey, you can file this because of this kind of thing. They're just basically having you file the stuff, and that's where it's getting a bit tricky, and I don't know. And that might be the reason why people are being denied on those issues, because there was an article I read that it was, I think, by like the New York Times that said it, that it was just like, from the people that filed for being around like radiation exposure, like the people that served like in a toll and all that stuff, they were getting like, it was an overwhelming number of people that were getting denied because of that. So there's this, where is it? And I have this also. I got this. I found this website that gives you the information for the PACT Act. So this is the information, and this basically highlights everything, all the issues and all the findings that they have. So the amount of people that have filed. Let me make this a bit larger for you to be able to see. So it gives you the number of people that filed, what's been claimed, what hasn't been claimed. So I found this info, which is basically very helpful because it tells you who enrolled, like new enrollees in the PACT Act planning population. And it tells you how many people have enrolled, how many people have been denied, how many people have been approved. And it says like that. So total PACT Act claims approved, 995,000. So there's been 995,000 PACT Act claims that have been put in there. That's probably because of like the tests you did, the burn pit exposure, the Gulf exposure. If you got a pulmonary test showing that, that's part of your claim. But as you see, approval rate for PACT Act related claims, 75%. So that's why there shouldn't be a 75% issue when it comes to it. Because basically, if you've already been shown that you were in these areas and they made the list themselves, why is it not like 100 to 90 something percent of people that are being approved? But it just shows you the PACT Act related submitted claims and completed PACT Act related. Average days for PACT Act related claim completion. So there gives you the number basically. If somebody like Ivan the Great was asking, like, how long does it go? If it's a PACT Act related claim, it usually takes about 166 days, which is a long damn time. So it's about 6 months, depending on when you may get your answer back. PACT Act related claims completed in less than 125 days is 37%. So depending, what I like to tell people is the more concrete and the more information and the more documentation and the nexus letters, buddy statements, all that you have on file, that is what is going to benefit you and make your claim faster. Because the thing is if you just, like I said, if you just submit your medical records, stuff gets overlooked. These VA raters are just like, look, if somebody hands you a book of 988 pages and they tell you, hey, find all the information you need here, it's going to be a while. You're going to miss something. You're not going to see everything. So that's why I say take those chunks of what you need, separate them and upload them and label them like this is it. For you, Mike, you have the burn pits, you got the Gulf exposure. You got tested by the VA, so they wanted to run those tests. Once they run those tests and that's what they found, you can put that information and file a claim for it and attach their findings to it. Now, like I said, they might try to say it's not a primary issue, but if you have to file it to secondary to something else, you can connect it. You just have to figure out, that's the one thing I have to find what can connect to what. That's something I have not been able to find or haven't seen anybody really like expose or talk about. It's just like, hey, this is the list of all the stuff that you can service connect or connect secondarily to this. Because like when you have tinnitus, you can connect that to migraines. You can connect that to insomnia. You can connect that to certain mental health issues. When it comes to asthma, you can connect that to sleep apnea. You can connect that to different things. So it depends on what it is, but I have not been able to find a resource that gives me that, hey, this connects to this. This leads to this, like stuff like that. That is one thing I am still trying to find and I'm still trying to research so that, because I think that would be the biggest benefit for service members and veterans is to know what connects to what. So does this connect to this? That connects to that. So if you have one thing, you can put it as a secondary to that. And that's one thing that a lot of veterans do not know. When it comes to those secondary claims, that's where a lot of misses happen. That's where a lot of like denied claims. Because the thing is some of those are just like service related. Some of those are not. You just have to be diagnosed with it to try to put it as a secondary. Because if you have asthma, that can lead to you having breathing issues, which can lead to you having sleep apnea, which may require you to get a machine. So that is something that is connected to it, or it could be the other way around. But how well it works and how it's diagnosed is the thing. My concern is that I already have 70% for insomnia. They may try to dismiss the chronic fatigue because I already have a rating for insomnia. So, Mike, the thing is you got to remember, when it comes to mental health disorders, they are going to try to combine everything. So it doesn't matter what it is. You have to have whatever your 70% insomnia is. If you file for the chronic fatigue, they're just going to tie all of that into it because it falls under the mental health disorders. Now, if your 70% insomnia is there and the issues you have with it seem better when they evaluate you, that's when you get a reduction. If you're at 70% and you don't think the chronic fatigue is going to help, there's no need for it. If you're already at 70 for that, with your other claims, that should be able to help you push up. Because the thing is you probably have, if you have pulmonary fitness and you found the GERD, chronic fatigue, and hearing loss, do you have sleep apnea? Because if you have sleep apnea, you can tie that into it also. Ivan the Great asked, I have a sleep apnea diagnosis and insomnia. Sleep disturbances. Will some be secondary? Can you explain this further? So, Ivan, the best explanation for that, when anyone has anything that is considered a mental health disorder, which is basically sleep disturbances, insomnia, the insomnia, sleep disturbances, anxiety, adjustment disorder, chronic depression, PTSD, that all falls under one realm, which is all mental health thing. They don't separate it and give you separate claims for everything. Anything that falls into the mental health will be combined as of one rating. So depending on, let me see. I need to find where it is. Where's the mental health ratings? Mental disorders. Here we go. So basically, off the mental disorders, this is what it's gonna be. They said my also is not service connected. I did a supplemental claim for the. That's crazy that they said that your sleep apnea was not. But you can do a supplemental claim, and if you have the new evidence, try it that way. And if still, appeal it. The thing is like the appeal part, like the problem is that the VA is trying to make you work for the stuff. They are trying to make you work for it. It's just like there's stuff that should already be service connected because you show the stuff being connected and happening in service. But if you have more evidence and you have more documentation, put that new evidence and tie it into whatever old evidence you had when you filed the claim. So now it shows like, hey, this is the old stuff I have. This is the new stuff that I now have also, and put those together and submit it that way. Because now you have the ability to show, hey, look, this has happened in service or within the time period. This has happened outside of this time period. And the thing is what's crazy is you're doing it, but you retire what? You retire shit in what? You said it was 12 days? But you have this issue. But the thing is you have to file for everything you possibly can. Connect everything. If you have certain things, the mental disorder things, like, look, this basically tells you the breakdown of it. This is what people need to look at when it comes to any mental disorders, like insomnia, sleep disturbances. This is what they go off of. They don't like yep, see, June 14th. I remembered, Mike. You get in there. Shit, my birthday is in what, 3 days? It'll be a big celebration. It's a whole June celebration. Don't worry about it. Yeah, my birthday is on Wednesday, so. But this, the general rating formula for mental disorders, this is the information that is going to give you what it is. If you have 70%, this is what they see it as. They see it as occupational and social impairment with deficiencies in most areas such as work, school, family relations, judgment, thinking, or mood. due to such symptoms as suicidal ideation, obsessional rituals which interfere with routine activities, speech intermittently illogical, obscure or irrelevant, near continuous panic or depression affecting the ability to function independently, appropriately, and effectively, impaired impulse control such as unprovoked irritability with periods of violence, spatial disorientation, neglect of personal appearance and hygiene, difficulty in adapting to stressful circumstances, including work or a work-like setting, inability to establish and maintain effective relationships. So that is what they are basing that off. So your 70% rating with your insomnia, whatever else you claimed on top of it, that is in there. That's what they rated it as. So when they ask you those questions of, hey, are you able to maintain relationships? Like, no, I don't go outside. Shit, I barely got, like, I have more friends with y'all coming into this stream and talking than I do outside. 'Cause I barely leave my house. I don't like going outside anymore. Like, it's very rare. It's like I have to be dragged outside to go outside. And when I'm outside, sometimes I get jittery and stuff like that. That's something you have to explain. That's something you have to let them know when that happens. The unprovoked irritability. It happens when you just get angry for no damn reason. You just want to snap on people. That's part of that. That goes into PTSD, anxiety, depression. All that stuff gets tied into it when it comes to it. But this is how they evaluate you on it. This is what they're looking at. This is what, when they ask you all those questions, they formulate it like, what do you fall under? So general rating. And here it is. And this is the list of all the stuff. Schizophrenia, delusional disorder, schizoaffective disorder, delirium, cognitive unspent, like the major mild neurocognitive disorders, generalized anxiety disorder. So that's when you just have anxiety, specific phobia, social anxiety disorder, obsessive OCD, PTSD, panic disorder, unspecified anxiety, depersonalization, derealization disorder, other specified somatic symptoms, conversion disorder, illness anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, persistent depressive disorder, major depressive disorder, unspecified depressive disorder, and chronic adjustment disorder. So that goes into the question that Ivan the Great asked. Like, all those different things are there. This is how they get the rating, and this is the code that they're going to try to attach to whatever your rating is that you're claiming. So they're going to put those in there, but at the end of the day, all of that gets combined. So no matter what you put, if it falls under this criteria of information here, it's going to get combined, and this is where you're going to get your rating. This is what they're going to base it off of. Are you able to function? Are you able to do day-to-day tasks? Can you remember stuff? Are you forgetting stuff? Are you having relationship issues? Like, hey, you always fight with your wife or your spouse, your girlfriend, whatever the case may be. That's something that gets tied into that, and they sum all that up, and that's how you end up getting your rating for that. For if you have sleep apnea, Ivan the Great, you have sleep apnea. That's a claim. Now the thing is do you need a machine for it? If you need a machine, it's usually a 50% rating. Or if you have obstructive sleep apnea and you don't need the machine, but you have it, could be a 30, could be a 10. Can they still reduce you if you take all the meds they give you and the meds make you feel better? That's a good question. I don't believe they can do that, or they will do that, because of the fact that you also got to remember, medications have side effects. Those side effects can also be claims. And that's one thing a lot of people don't realize. If you are, Ivan the Great, if you have a CPAP machine and you received it in service, you shouldn't have no problem because you received it in service. That's service connected. So if you claim that, you should be able to provide that documentation showing that you received it in service and you have it. That's how I got mine, where I have no issues. I was diagnosed with I did a sleep study. They saw I had sleep apnea. They gave me my machine, and then when I submitted that claim, that was an easy 50% because I received it in the military. I got my CPAP machine, and I was using it since. I even provided one of my medical profiles showing that I had a sleep machine that I had to be able to use, and I couldn't pull guard duty or I couldn't do a bunch of stuff, and I had that in my profile. So that assisted me. But if you had it in there, that's fine. But to military Mike, the question of like meds. Medicines have side effects. So the medication may be making you better. But the thing is in order for you to be good, you have to stay on this medication. So basically, if you stop taking the medication, you revert back to where you were at. Because the thing is looking for me, I have my back issues. I'm on muscle relaxers half of that shit. I'm on muscle relaxer right now just to be able to sit here and talk to you for the amount of times I do. Most of the time, that's what I do in order to be able to sit for this long period of time. And then sometimes you see that I'll stand up while I'm streaming because even the medication isn't working. But what medication, what does it have? It has side effects. The muscle relaxers tend to make you groggy. You can't fucking operate machinery and stuff like that. If you're always on muscle relaxers and stuff like that, that goes towards that unemployability also. Your ability to not function, because the thing is this takes away your ability to do things. I'm not supposed to be driving a vehicle while on muscle relaxers. So if I'm on muscle relaxers all the time, how am I supposed to, you see what I'm saying? So your medication can make you better. You may feel better, but it doesn't mean that it's automatically just going to do it for you. So that's something you got to pay attention to. It does happen. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody get reduced because of their meds. Because the thing is if you notice, everybody, they just keep on pushing more and more meds on you. Because they want you to just keep on getting prescriptions. But at the same time, it doesn't fix the issue because you're on this medication. So if you're on medication, that means you need to take the medication to feel better. But you're still dealing with this issue no matter what. So it doesn't go away. So they're not going to reduce you because of that. Because you just got to explain it to them. When they ask you at those C&P exams, you're explaining to them what it is without the medication. You're not telling them you feel fucking great all the time and stuff. No, I feel like shit, this, and that. Because some of them might ask you like, so what makes you feel better? I need to be on medication the whole damn time. And when they hear that, that is something that basically shows like, okay, this person has to be medicated in order to be able to function. So that you have to keep in mind. But yeah, see, they got rating for eating disorders. Let me see. Where is infectious organs, special use, skin, digestive system. Let's see where they have GERD. Here you go. So y'all be making me trying to read these words, man, and I'll be having such a hard time trying to read these damn words. Gastroesophageal reflux disease. And this is the one that they just updated this. So I had a notoriety in the content and effect. So this got updated as of May 19th of this year. So this is now the new information when it comes to those issues. So for GERD, when I did my supplemental claim for it, I included my medical profile. It says I need. So Mike, the question is with that is if you had the supplemental claim for the sleep apnea, you included the medical profile, but was the medical profile because of the sleep apnea you were diagnosed with? Or was it because that's what they said you needed in order? Because that's what might make it difficult. Because a lot of the times with the sleep apnea, they want you to have a sleep study that confirms that. So if you have that tying it in, then yes, because you need that amount of hours. Because mine didn't specify the amount of hours that was needed to receive stuff. Mine just basically, my profile just basically said that basically I will not be able to do guard duty, be able to do certain things, drive machinery or drive vehicles or whatever the case, if I was not allowed to use my machine. On guard duty, they don't want you to sleep in the first place. So if I can't use my machine to actually, you know, get rest, sleep well, and stuff like that, the medical profile is for pauses in breathing during sleep. How the hell did they not diagnose you with sleep apnea then? That is crazy. Basically, you're saying that the medical profile is for pauses in breathing, which is sleep apnea, and they denied it. That should make no fucking sense. So what you need to do is, National Guard. The thing is like, in that case, you have to find because that's so fucking stupid. And that's why I hate the military sometimes, because the military does that shit on purpose. At least the providers, they try to avoid putting the fucking issue on paper, and they don't specify it. Because pauses in breathing during sleep is fucking sleep apnea. It's not pauses in sleeping. That's like the medical diagnosis is that you are having sleep apnea. You're having obstructive sleep apnea. It is not that you are stopping breathing. It's just that basically they diagnosed it and they misdiagnosed it, or they didn't put it in there. And that's where the VA rater probably denied your claim, because of the fact that you didn't have that specific wording. And that's where, like I said, a lot of vets, we deal with that issue when it comes to filing claims, because we do not have that specific wording in our profile or in our documentation, and that gets overlooked. So you submitting it that way will probably help you in getting that decision, because of the fact that it's just like, hey, you have a profile stating that you have pauses in breathing during sleep. You can probably make a statement yourself, like, look, this is what happens, and this was just misdiagnosed by the medical provider, which it shows I have pauses in breathing during sleep, which is equal to sleep apnea. Now, they might not want to take that because that's your word against a medical professional saying that it was sleep, pauses in sleep, but that alone should be connected enough for you where you should not have an issue. You should be able to get that information basically stating like, hey, pauses in sleep. Pauses in sleep mean sleep apnea. There's no other way around of putting it. It's just that the wording was not put correctly, and that's what they're trying to like hold you back on, which is stupid. See, okay, so you have this stuff, Mike. The thing is they just wanted to make you work for it. That's it. I can't even put it anymore. Like, you have all the documentation there. Basically, like I said, sometimes that's what happens, is just that they want you to keep fighting for it. But if you have the sleep study, you have diagnosed of sleep apnea, you have a medical profile from while you were in service showing that, you should have no issues. They're just going to take their sweet ass time and do it. Do not change what you file. Because the thing is you got to remember, what gets a lot of people is that they refile something. So that means your file to intent starts from the day you filed that new claim. Well, no, you have to fight it to the end, and that's the thing. With this, you have to fight it to the end. There's no, with the VA, you have to keep on fighting, because the thing is like I said, like I say, which a lot of people it pisses off, but not everyone is entitled. Everyone is entitled to 100%. People will just be like, oh no, the military understands that when the person joins in, they are basically 100%. There's a possibility of every person going and getting 100%. The military knows that. People be like, oh no, the budget would go crazy and stuff. As you notice, the budget keeps growing and it doesn't stop. They understand that, hey, more people are getting out, more people are retiring, more people are getting from that age of those wars, the Afghanistan, Iraq wars, and they're getting out. They're filing claims. They wouldn't have thought to do this. Do you think the PACT Act would have fucking gone through if people didn't think that they couldn't get those ratings? Everybody can get 100%. They understand that. The thing is just that how many of y'all actually fight for your 100%? That's what the military, that's what the VA, that's what they go off of. Because they know out of 100 service members, when they get out, maybe 50% actually file a VA claim. And so basically, instead of paying 100% to 100 people, they're only paying 50% of those 100 people at 100%. You see what I'm saying? So that, oh my God. Military Mike, thank you for the $50 donation. I appreciate you, man. I love you, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. But that's what people don't understand. It's like you have to keep fighting. Keep fighting. Everybody can get 100%. Everybody can get 100%. There's no thing as people cannot get 100%. Everybody can get 100%. It's just how much are you willing to fight and keep on getting the documentation for you to get there. That's where the VA wins. And that's where it's just like, oh, people be like, the VA sucks. It's like, no, you have to be on them for it. It was just like when you were in service, if you were trying to get promoted or something and your pay wasn't right, what did you keep on doing? You kept on going to your S1. You kept on going to finance. You'd be like, look, man, I ain't getting my pay. Hey, I got promoted. My pay hasn't changed. What did you do? You kept on going till what? Till your pay got fixed. It's the same situation, but this is outside of the military. This is your medical claims. This is your ability to function outside of the military. This is you continuing to go to the VA like, hey, I have this issue. This is the issue I have. I'm claiming this. Here's the documentation. Oh, yeah, denied it. Here's some more documentation. Oh, yeah, denied that too? Hey, here's a service-connected nexus letter from my medical provider outside the military that's connecting this. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, here's my buddy statement from all the buddies I served with that were there when this happened, and we're going to put that in there. Oh, and a buddy statement or a statement from your wife or your spouse or your significant other. All that stuff. It's just that people tend to fall into the hole of once it gets denied, I'm done. And that's where we falter. That's where we have the issue as veterans. Veterans get that notification and it's just like, oh, no, your claim for whatever it might be was denied and it is not service connected. People take it as, well, I guess I can't do anything about it. That's the wrong thing. Because the thing is if you yourself know that you have this issue, you yourself know you are going through sleep apnea. You have sleep apnea. You have joint issues. You have back issues. You have muscle issues. You have disc issues. If you know that and you can prove that, you have to keep fighting that. Because the thing is like I said, some stuff gets overlooked. When your pay was wrong, something got overlooked. When you were receiving when you weren't receiving your housing allowance after you first got married, or you wasn't getting you had your dependent but they weren't it wasn't showing, or you weren't receiving your BAS, what did you go and do? You went straight to finance. Look, man, y'all owe me some money. That's the first thing people do. But the thing is just like people get out of the military and they forget to put that process in there. Like, you have to fight everything there. Every claim you have, if they deny it, it means either something was overlooked or you didn't have enough evidence to provide what you were saying. That's the way I look at it. That's what people need to start looking at it as. It's just like, if you have any claim, did I provide enough information to support what I am claiming? Was it pinpointed out for a VA rater to see? That's why I tell people, just because it's in your medical records does not mean anything. Because looking at the case of you, Military Mike, pauses in sleep. What was it? Pauses in breathing while sleeping? What did he put it? What did he say? What did he say? Pauses in breathing during sleep. So basically, they misworded sleep apnea. That's the easiest way of putting that. Your sleep apnea was misworded, and they put it as pauses in breathing, which is the same thing as sleep apnea. So what did they say? They was like, oh, well, I didn't find, like I said, when people, those VA raters, what do? They control F, so they search for it. If there's no word that says sleep apnea, or obstructive sleep apnea, they ain't gonna find it. Because they're not gonna search for pauses in breathing. But you yourself knew, hey, I have this here. I have this documentation. Okay, y'all denied it. I'm going to appeal it. Appeal it, submit that, and highlight the shit if you need to. Like, I've actually seen people and heard of people doing that also, where they actually highlight where the shit is. Print all that shit out. Sleep apnea, sleep apnea, sleep apnea. So when a VA rater is gonna look at that and be like, damn, this person did their homework. Makes my job easier, because now I can see exactly where it says sleep apnea or where it says the documentation I need to provide that. So now if I'm providing that info, I am giving that info to the VA rater to see, which makes it easier for the VA rater to find. But you have to keep fighting it. That's the thing. Most people just like, they just give up and it's just like, you know what, I'm not doing this. They said no and they leave it at that. You don't do that. You keep on fighting. Everybody can get 100%. There's no such thing as everybody's allotted 100%. The thing is if you don't file, who's going to pay you? If you don't file for the things that you have issues with, who's going to file it for you? Because look at the case with you, Military Mike. They found, what was it, GERD, chronic fatigue, and what was the other one you said? And hearing loss. 3 separate claims. Do you think the VA is going to file that for you? The VA is not going to file it for you. The VA sees it as, well, we found these issues, but if you ain't going to say nothing, we ain't going to say nothing. And that's where we fall into that problem. People just think that it's just like, oh, I have this. You may have some CMP examiners that are actually helpful. Like I said, for my issue with my ankle. She saw it was like, oh, the sprained ankle, you have the issues with your ankles. But then she was like, oh, you have these issues too. You are falling into the issue of having shin splints also because of the injury to your ankle. And she put that in there. But that was because she put that in there and they put it on there. I didn't do anything. In those cases, yes, the VA CMP examiner may put claims in for you or put stuff in there for you. That is not always the case, because the thing is that's something that they have to do on top of it. And a lot of these CMP examiners don't care to do that. And it's just like, they don't have to provide the extra work because they don't get paid extra for that. They don't get paid extra for finding extra stuff that's connected to what your issues is. They see to it as, okay, you provided me this information. I'm asking you about your ankle. This is what you have. Oh, you have pain that shoots here. You have pain here. Okay. I was just like, ankle sprain. And they just leave it at that. Now, depending on who you get, it may be different. They might submit something for you. They may not. Most of the times you have to look at it as like, hey, you cannot put, how can I put this? You cannot put your claim business or your information on the word of the CMP examiner. That is one thing you cannot do. You have to make sure you are the one taking care of it. Like I said, you have GERD. You have documented history of recurrent refractory esophageal stricture causing dysphagia with at least one of the symptoms present. Aspiration, which I think aspiration would be the breathing issue for you. I think. Don't claim me on that. So Mike, what are you actually sitting at? Because you have that 70 for example. What are you sitting at in your entirety of all your claims? What percentage are you at? Because the thing is like, look at GERD. GERD right here can go from, you're at 80. Okay, like a flat 80, or you're at like 84, like that. That's what you need to make sure you check out. That's what you need to know. That is the most important thing, because right now you are at the 80% mark. But at 80, that means you can be at 70. Oh, see, that's what I was trying to see. So now from 77, Let's see. Schedule ratings. Well, we're gonna break this down for you. I'm gonna give you the math. So you are currently at 77%. To get to 95, you need another 80%, which sounds fucking ridiculous. That shit sounds ridiculous when you fucking hear it. You're at 77. To get to 95, you need 80. You basically need another 80% to get there. So where were we at? We were at the digestive system, GERD. So let's start putting calculations. Let's start putting numbers. You at 77 and need 80%. Okay. Well, do you really need 50? No, because the thing is you should be able to get, if you get a 25, that puts you at 80. If you get 50%, yeah, you still need the 80 no matter what. Because even a 50% with sleep apnea is going to get you to 85, which will get you paid at the 90 rate, but you still need that extra 10% coverage to get there. So 80% will do it. But GERD. Documented history of recurrent esophageal stricture causing dysphagia, which requires dilation no more than 2 times per year. So you might fall under this unless you have any of these like dilation things. You may fall under that. You may not, depending on how bad it is for you. But GERD can at least get you 10%. So let's just say that's 10%. That brings you down to 70%. You have hearing loss. Hearing loss is just going to be like 10%. That one is just a 10%. But if you have tinnitus there, that should be 10% for tinnitus. Or do you already have tinnitus on there? Because if you have the 10% for tinnitus, so 10% GERD, 10% hearing loss, I'll say. Depending on how bad it is, your hearing loss, like if you need a hearing aid and stuff like that, it might go up higher. See, tinnitus recurrent, that's an automatic 10. Like if you deal with, I know, you better put that in there. I don't know what you're waiting on. You better put that shit in there. Tinnitus is there. Because the tinnitus, it depends on like where you worked at. But look, you've been in the military long enough. You've been in ranges long enough. You've been firing stuff long enough. You've worked on vehicles long enough. All that stuff. Depending on what your chemical, we do everything. Or we've done everything. We've done every job. So we've worked in the motor pool. We've worked on ranges. We've worked on, but depending on the units you were with, if it was artillery or whatever the case may be, you get that flat line in your ear every now and then. I always have somebody dying always in my ear. Just beep, and it's just like, oh, there goes another one. That's what I attribute it to because it's fucking random as shit. But that's 10% there. 10% for tinnitus. File that claim. 10% for hearing loss. File that claim because they found out for you that you have hearing loss. They'll probably do another auditory thing where they'll have you listening in and you got to do the fucking thing when you don't know when the fuck you're hearing shit. That'll be there. So now from there, you've got in 30%. You got 10% GERD, 10% hearing loss, 10% tinnitus. Now, sleep apnea, you already submitted the supplemental claim for that. Once you have the CPAP machine, that should be a 50%. So, sleep apnea. What else we got that we can claim? What else do you have that you can claim? That's what you need to make sure you're doing. Figure out every single thing you can claim and submit all that shit. Put it all in there. Because the thing is, like I said, Like you submit that claim, you might be waiting on the supplemental claim. They're gonna give you that answer on that. If you have plantar I can never fucking say these things. Plantar fasciitis. Let me search for that. Why doesn't it? Plantar surface painful. So that I'm trying to see what it falls under. So I don't think it's static foot deformities. Because that's the thing, is just like, what does that fall under? Okay, so you're at 10% for that. So that's part of the 77%. Okay. But if you do it bilateral, you may get 10% for one and 10% for the other. Now, depending on how bad it is and how much it's gotten worse over time, that might increase your thing also. They gave you 2 pairs of inserts, and that was to just basically cover it and try to basically say like, hey, this will help you. Your shit has gotten worse. Your implants, your fucking inserts ain't working. But what else do we have? You got any back issues? You got any like slip discs? Anything of the sort like that? That's what you got to think also. Anything that might fall under that criteria. Back issues, joint issues, like hand issues, like finger issues, shoulder, elbow, knee, back, hip, ankle. Everything that you have to document. You have to put it in there. Like I said, if you got a profile for some shit, just be like, hey, you've had it and you've just been fucking helping yourself, but it's gotten worse and you would like to get it fucking fixed. Now, most of the time you will be able to go to physical therapy for it or stuff like that, but just because you go to physical therapy doesn't mean it works. Like I said, with my ankle sprain, I went through 1.5 years of fucking physical therapy. My ankle still be fucking, I feel like I got giraffe ankles or something. Like you just wobble and shit like or like baby deer legs. That's what my wife likes to say. My ankles just be like, oh. And I'm just like, I used to be able to play basketball with no issue. I can't play ball no more. So, but you have to go through everything, because the 50%, the sleep apnea should get you the 50%. Tinnitus, that's 10%. Hearing loss, that's another 10%. GERD should be another 10%. You're just trying to stack up all those things you can, and just keep on stacking them. Part 4. And let's go back to, because you were at 70, let's say 77%, right? If you got another 10%, and we'll say that was tinnitus, because that one's automatic, you're at 79. If you get the 10% for, so 79, another 10% for hearing, that puts you at 81. Another 10% for GERD puts you at 83. Now, 83, if you get that 50%, that should put you at 92. So you still 3 percentage points from getting to that 100. So that's why it's just like you have to make sure you have all the other stuff possible in there that you may be able to claim. Because you got the 70% insomnia. That one should not change. Because you got 70% insomnia, you got the 10% bilateral for your feet, and you got inserts. But it's what else do you have you can claim? Like I said, back issues, anything to do with your back, anything to do with your shoulders, anything to do with your knees. If you got bad knees, stuff like that, anything that you may have on record, or you can get diagnosed outside and connected to like, hey, I did fucking 20 something years in the fucking military. 20 plus, 30 plus, whatever amount you did, your knees is going to be shot from fucking doing all that rucking, all that running, all that stuff. That's there. It's just that you got to make sure you're putting in a claim for that, or you're stating that's what's happening. Because that's where it runs into issues where if you don't have that, you fall into that problem. But having that supplemental claim for that is in there. Because like I said, GERD, hearing loss, that's percentage points you got because they diagnosed you with that. They found that it's just like, okay, you do have this issue. We need to make sure we're putting that in there. You need to make sure you're putting that claim in there. And then it's just like whatever else you can think of. And that's the thing. It's just like most people don't realize it, but you got to go like, Mike, best thing you do, go through your medical record again, word for word, letter for letter, page by page. I know it's going to be fucking time consuming, but like I said, you have to do the homework to fight these people so that you have the documentation and you have the stuff you need in order to do that. Because basically, like I said, you need that percentage. But even though you need that 80%, like you got 50, if you were to get the 50 sleep apnea, 10 tinnitus, 10 hearing, 10 GERD, that still don't give it to you. Because that's 80% there, but it just don't add up. Like that's the crazy part about this. So you would still need more. You would still need more than that. Because from 77, it says you need 80% to get to 95. So that's where you gotta put that together. Everything, knees, ankles, back, especially because you have issues with your feet already. That causes hip issues. That causes back issues. Now, do you have it documented? That's the other part of it. That's where you fall into issues. Hold on, let me open up this door. Get a little bit of airflow in this room. Room is getting stuffy. What else? Since you already did the thing, do you have sinusitis, sinusitis, or chronic rhinitis, or one of those? Let's see. Because that's another claim that since you've already done the PACT Act and you've done the burn pit stuff, if you can get a diagnosis for that, that's something there. Because I know I have that shit. I haven't filed for it yet. Sinu. Respiratory system, which for you, it should not be difficult because now that you have the sleep study, you have the stuff where you have breathing issues. These can be secondary things, or they can just be claims because you have the sinusitis there. 1 or 2 incapacitating episodes per year, 3 or more incapacitating per year. The 50% is basically you need fucking surgery for, but sinusitis, that's there. You put that in there because you already deal with the asthma. What did they give you for asthma? I forgot to ask you that. What did they give you for asthma? See, because this is the sleep apnea syndromes. 0, asymptomatic, which you are not. Persistent daytime hypersomnolence, which basically the chronic fatigue is going to be tied into your sleep apnea. Now that I think about it. So that's what they're probably going to do. They're probably going to tie in your sleep apnea and your chronic fatigue to the sleep apnea and put it there. So it's not, because I don't think chronic fatigue is a specific rating. I would have to search for it and find it. But I know with the sleep apnea, that one will cause chronic fatigue because of the fact that your body isn't resting and getting the right oxygen while you're sleeping. So that's one you have to make sure you put, because that'll be 50%. You'll get the machine, you have that. That's a 50% that should be assured, especially with the documentation you have. You should have that, and you shouldn't have any problems with that. But I'm trying to see, where the hell is asthma? Asthma. Here we go. Yeah, this is because you did the respiratory thing, so I don't know if it says anything about asthma or if you've been diagnosed with asthma. But if that's there, this is it here. Yeah. Email is, I'll type it in. That is the email for anybody that wants to reach me and submit anything. That is where it would go. I just have to open this up here though. Because that's what I just want to use. If anybody has anything they want to submit or anything they want me to like have look at and stuff like that, that is the email to submit it to. But that would be the best thing. Because that's the thing, like I said, that information that you have, that is gonna be what you need. That, like, all that stuff, this is what you have to put together. You have to look at everything, see what's tied into it, what you have connected, what is not connected. And then if you need to make a connection, that's what you need to formulate basically. But you always need a diagnosis of whatever it is. If the VA is finding these diagnoses, you can put them as, hey, it's not a primary claim, but y'all found that I do have this. So this is a secondary claim to this issue that I was getting checked out in the first place with. Because then it's actually connecting. It was like, well, it didn't happen in service, but it is service connected. But if the thing that's service connected happened and it's causing something else, it's hard for them to say, no, this didn't happen in service and not connected. It's kind of hard to do that when they themselves are the one finding the information and providing it for you. So if they're providing you with the, hey, this is what happened, this is the issue, this is the information that corresponds to my issue. Here you go. It's tied. Now you see it. The VA said I had this. The VA is claiming it. But like I said, you've done the burn pit registry and all that stuff. You have to make sure you're going down that list. Because the thing is as it continues, I believe they are going to continue to add claims through those. So the PACT Act right now is like dealing a lot with like cancers and stuff like that. But sinusitis, rhinitis, that's stuff that's there. That's at least another 10% that if you have it, you do it, because you can already hear me. I'm already sounding like I'm stuffy, and that's because I'm always dealing with it. But yeah, see, that's a general rating formula. You may get 10%. You may not. You might get 0%. Detected by X-ray only. Because it's still another claim. You're gonna keep on going. Nah, you good. It's gonna take you time to basically find that stuff, find the information, and go through it and tie those things in. But you need to find everything that you can find that you can connect to it. That's what you want to do to push your rating up. Because the thing is you have it documented, you have it diagnosed. That's the main thing. Now, for some, you may need to get it service connected. And for others, it's just like, hey, it's a secondary claim because it's like, look, I got this, and because of this, now I have this. See, because it has, and that's the thing. This gives you a lot of information. Thing is just like depending on what it is, because like also the digestive system just changed after the changes it just made. But GERD is now 0 through 80% depending on how it is. What's the other one? I think it was like irritable bowel syndrome is another one. Let's see where that is. Irritable bowel syndrome. If you dealt with that, that's something you can claim also. Abdominal pain related to defecation at least once during the previous 3 months, and 2 or more of the following: change in stool frequency, change in stool form, altered stool passage, straining or urgency, mercurial abdominal bloating, or subjective distension. And that's basically one time during the past 3 months. If you're dealing with GERD, it may be something that is also connected to it. But that's something, that's another one there. If you need to take medication for like stool softener or something like that, that's something you can put on there. And you got to remember that sometimes your medication is what causes these issues, and these medications can be tied into those issues. That's what you need to understand also. So the fact that if you're medicated and the medication is causing this issue, you can tie that to it. I'm just like, oh, well, my medication causes this. I'm filing for this because of this. Now I have to figure out how you do that, because I think it's just like you claim it, but then it's just like claiming the... Okay, excuse me. But you claiming those issues, that's what it does. Like, my allergies are starting to kick up out of nowhere. And there's something I dealt with after. I never really dealt with damn allergies till the military. I never had to take allergy medication. And it hasn't gotten any better either. It keeps on getting worse, where I actually think I get sinus headaches that turn into migraines. So, oh, that's another thing. If you got migraines too, that tinnitus ends up causing migraines. Migraines is another one you can, if you have documentation for, Mike, that you could try to add into. Migraines is a 50%. Let's see. I don't even know, what does that fall under? Is it neurological conditions? Or TBIs. TBIs is another thing, and a lot of the times TBIs, people don't understand that. With a TBI, they can fall under a what do you call it? With TBI, you can fall under the special monthly compensation for it, because that's one of the, I think it's R2 or something falls under it. If you had a TBI, you may fall under that, depending on if you fit the rest of the criteria for it. Migraine, there we go. And here is migraine. Diagnostic code 8100. But this one is, if you have migraines, that's another one. That's another claim right there. That can get you another 50% there. Because basically with migraines is basically you have them frequently, you have them multiple times a month or multiple times a week. There you go. So that's another thing with the migraines. I get them multiple times a week. Not always. Not every week is not always multiple times. Some weeks is worse than others, or some weeks is just like the whole week I'm just like dealing with a migraine. Other weeks it might be like one that pops up here and there. I do have the medication, and that's what I take. The problem is that the characteristic prostrating attacks are the ones that is just like, hey, even with medication, even with all that stuff, I cannot function. I have to lay down. I have to turn off all the lights. I can't be around sounds and stuff like that. I have to lay down and I can't do anything. That happens multiple times a month from those migraines. I always get them multiple times per month where I have those debilitating things. Like, it's just basically I'm rendered useless. I render myself useless because I can't do shit. I can't help around the house. Can't help with the kids. I literally have to tell the kids, like, I have to turn on the TV for them, let them watch TV, and I have to go lay down. That stuff that is just like, it's there, and people need to realize that, because the thing is not always do people see that. Not always do people understand that. It's just like with migraines, you can have that issue where it's just like dealing with them causes issues. Like you can't operate as your normal self. And that's something that you have to state when you're going through that. You have to let them know, like, hey, I get migraines weekly. I get them all the time weekly. How many times a month do I get them that I have to like lay down thing? I told them it was just like at least 3 to 4 times a month. Like I said, some months are better than others. Sometimes it's just like I said, now it seems like my allergies are dealing with it. So it's just like I start getting like a regular headache. I could take medication for it. But then I start noticing that it's a migraine where it's just like light starts bothering me. And I'm just like, fuck, migraine oncoming. I take my migraine medication. But most of the time, like I told them in service, what I did was just like I had the medication that they were giving me. I would take that. And it just wasn't working for me. And they didn't want to prescribe me anything else because it was just like, it was like I would need a profile for it or some shit like that. Or I guess nowadays they have the ability to give people like a steroid shot or something that helps with the migraines. I was just like, look, if I have to keep on taking these shots consistently, I was like, no, I used what it was like Excedrin, like the extra strength migraine medication. And that kind of worked. But like I said, sometimes it just doesn't matter. Okay, hold on. Let me check this real quick. Okay, I got it. Let's see this. So you sent me the this is, thank you for shit, you got tinnitus right there. They just said it right there for you. And you got irritable, and I was just talking about the irritable bowel syndrome too. Like I said, you got the recipe. You whooping it up, Mike. You just cooking it up right now. You just got to put these claims in. Because like I said, the gastro. Now, hold on. See, so that's basically it. So in that, no, what you sorry for? No reason to be sorry. Showed the following GERD. So as we see here, GERD, like I said, depending on what you fall under between these, it goes from 0 to 80%. That's one claim. Irritable bowel syndrome is, where is it at? I was just looking at it too, and I was talking about it. Irritable bowel syndrome can go from 10 to 30%, depending on which one you fall under. So even if it's on the low end, you can still say you can get 10% for each of those. So I'll put 10% here, IBS. Okay, so that's 2 claims right there. So you are going to file for irritable bowel syndrome and you are going to file for GERD. Now you have shortness of breath. That's the tricky one. That's where it's tricky, because it's just like it says shortness of breath, but you said you have your profile, which let me just make this a bit larger for me to read. And you have your whatever the lower leg injury that's on here, you need to figure that out. You need to put that on there. Whatever that is, I'm not sure what it is, but you need to put that on there. The lower leg injury pain, right? Whatever your right side is hurting for your leg, whatever that is, find what you can claim that as, and you have a permanent profile for it. So this shows it was in service and they had a permanent profile for it. So that is another claim, depending on what it is, whether it's knee or something. You may have to find the documentation for that one, but get that together, put that in there as like, hey, lower leg injury. You have it there and it's a permanent profile. That is there. So you got to make sure you put that there. It basically hurts so bad that you had a modified ACFT. That alone shows that you had the service connected issue and it was dealing with it so bad that you couldn't even perform at the regular ACFT manner. So that's one thing you need to make sure you're putting in. Soldier requires use of his. Yeah, you should have no fucking issue getting that supplemental claim approved. That should be automatic 50%, because it says it there. Soldier requires use of his or her PAP machine during sleep. PAP requires access to a power source or a PAP battery. None of them shits come with batteries anymore, I think. All of them are just like plugged in. That's why I had it in my profile. It was just like I cannot be in austere environments. So basically I was just like I could not go to the field unless I was provided a power source. And I told my leadership that. I was like, look, I got no problem going to the field. Y'all just have to make sure I have a dedicated power line to be able to use my machine while I'm out in the field. I told them I got no problem going out to the field. I enjoy being out in the field, but I cannot operate if I'm not getting sleep with this machine. Y'all gonna have a real angry ass motherfucker that I'm gonna just start cursing people out that I shouldn't be cursing out in the field because of how tired I'm gonna be. So that's one thing I explained to them. And what did they do? They made sure they got one of those 100-foot extension cords, plugged it into the talk, ran that cable, and most of the time what I ended up doing is I was one of the only ones that would be able to sleep behind the talk or on the side of the talk. Like one of the parts of the talk, I was the only one allowed to do that. And then one of the other sergeant first classes would end up staying around that area, but I always did it because I always had to have a plug, and I plugged it in through the thing under the tent, plugged in my machine, and I slept right there, and I had my tent there with no issues. And that's how I have it. You have that documented in the profile, and like I said, the profiles are the best thing people can have and use because it gives you the availability and it shows that this happened in service. You were dealing with it in service. There's no a profile, and that's the one thing I wish more people knew about that and would pay attention to that this document here helps provide service connected documentation as to the injury you had and dealt with while in service. So it's not like I need to connect it. It was like, well, it's connected there. There's a profile showing you that it has that. And you provided that to him. So that's why I said you have that. So, and you have 39 suggestion study. Initial PSG with an HI of 39. So you basically stop breathing 39 times per hour when sleeping. I'm at, I think it's like 27, I think is what I was at. Yeah. So I was at 27. So that's there. So that's a claim that's going to be gone through, and you have it as a shortness of breath, which can be diagnosed as asthma, possibly. Don't know. I'm not sure there. For that one, that vagueness of shortness of breath is where you have to do some wiggling around to see what you can do with that. Because the sleep study stuff, you already have it. It's in your profile showing that you have that. Now you have to find that documentation of that sleep study to provide that also. And that should be a clear cut, no problem. Now, if they don't have that, that's where you fall into an issue. But you have a profile showing that you have it. So that is there. You shouldn't have a problem with that. The shortness of breath could be asthma. They didn't diagnose it as asthma, but you can try to see if you get a diagnosis with it and try to use that study information and just be like, hey, look, my provider, because how it says on the letter, like if you see a physician outside and you get a diagnosis or something, you can get an outside provider, be like, look, the shortness of breath is causing is asthma. We're putting it as asthma. We're service, and you connect it that way. And it was like, hey, we have him on a inhaler because of that. He has an inhaler. We prescribed him one, and then the VA will end up prescribing that because your doctor connected that to you. So, but yeah, the profile alone there, it shows you have tinnitus. Tinnitus is another 10. Hearing loss, that's another 10. Chronic fatigue can be turned into and will probably be most likely associated with your sleep apnea. Because that's how I know it was with mine. They might put it as something else, but most likely and most chances are they're going to say it is a sleep apnea related issue. Now, the other question I have for you is did you get this information? Did you ask? I don't know if you can ask directly to have all of that documentation. Get that file that shows that study, shows whatever diagrams they may have or whatever it is. Get those results. Have those results. And then push that shit right back onto the VA when you have it. Because if you have those results basically showing all that stuff, you'll have that there, and it makes it 10 times easier because now you have it situated and you have it placed in there, basically showing and stating like you have this. Yeah. And if you probably already added that in there. So you should, like I said, that shouldn't be an issue. But GERD, you need a file for. IBS, you need a file for. Because like I said, it's in these, it's here. It can go from 10, 20 to 30, depending on how bad it is that you deal with it. Depending how bad you say you deal with it. If you deal with it multiple times per month, that's a 20 rating. It was like they said that they found it. That's a 20 rating. Whether it's secondary or primary, that's where I can't give you the right answer for. There you might want to ask a VSO and see what your best option is. If it's to claim this as a secondary to what they found through the burn pit registry, or is it a primary thing? Because the thing is that letter basically states shit, and I would send that same fucking letter right back to him. Attach that shit right there. Like, look, this is the findings from the study, plus the information of the study, and do it that way. But that's GERD. IBS, like I said, that can be both. That can be 10% each. Hearing loss, 10%. Tinnitus, 10%. Let's go back to... We're going to go back and we're going to do the calculations again. So you are currently at 77, right? We gonna get that 50 for shit. If you get that 50 for sleep apnea, which you're gonna get, there's no. If they don't, you appeal that shit till you get it. There's no way around them saying that no, you don't have it. Like, it shows you have a machine. It shows you had a profile for it. You have all the documentation needed. You have the sleep study transcript. You have that there showing. So them fucking denying it, that's just them fucking BSing. But then it's probably because that profile says shortness of breath, which is fucking stupid, because in the bottom basically says you have a thing, but that's where it's like a PA not knowing any better just didn't classify it as sleep apnea, and they put it as shortness of breath while sleeping. Same fucking shit. Like, you just misdiagnosed it and put it the wrong way. But let's see. You're at 77. You get that 50%. That gets you to 89, right? So we're at 89. You're sitting at 89 with that 50% from sleep apnea. 89 plus 10% for IBS puts you at 90. 10% for GERD puts you at 91. 10% for hearing loss puts you at 92. 10% for tinnitus puts you at 93. You still need another 20%. Whatever that injury to your leg is, that's a claim. Like I said, I don't know what it is. Knee, hip, whatever it is, shin splints, but I don't even think shin splints is an actual claim. But that's another one. Claim that. Because you're basically right here. With all the stuff we just went over, that gets you to 93%, which still pays you at the 80% mark. Which is, no, you get paid at the 90. You'll be getting paid at the 90 mark with all those different claims. Then you just need those 20 extra percent, basically, or 30%. You need another 30% from 93 to get to 95, and that will push you to the 100% mark. Now, that's where it's just like, what else can you file? Because the thing is, you got to look at it like this. Tinnitus will be an automatic 10%. Tinnitus is always an automatic 10%. Hearing loss, depending on how bad your hearing loss is, that can fluctuate. But most likely, it'll be 10% or it might be 0%. That one's iffy, because I have hearing loss. I even had the letter from the thing saying that my shit fell below OSHA levels for being chemical. They kept me in there. I didn't have to reclass, but I lost enough hearing and I continued that. I got 10% for that. GERD, 10%, but it can go higher. IBS, 10%, but it can go higher. The other thing, if you deal with migraines because of the tinnitus, that ringing in your ear just turns into a fucking headache, turns into a migraine, you deal with that. That can go from 0 to 50 depending on how bad you get migraines. So it's you're there, but then also it's just like, you've been in the military for a long time, bro. You're going to retire in 12 days. That information of any ailment, like I said, anything, shoulder, back, elbow, fingers, anything like that, you need to make a claim for. Because the thing is they're going to understand. It's just like, hey, if you got back issues, you may have degenerative disc disease. But you have to have an x-ray showing that. For me, I had fucking the MRI and all that. See, so the thing is Mike, where you might fall into a problem with that is that, remember, you got 70% for your insomnia. Major depressive disorder is just combined with that. They don't separate those claims. So basically, the stuff that you're dealing with because of your depressive disorder and the insomnia are all rated together. It might just say, oh, insomnia did that, but they're just going to combine all that. So in order for you to file for an increase, that would mean that you are at 100% can't function. Because the only thing higher than 70 is the 100%. You are not going to get a higher rating from 70 unless it's 100. So that means you fall under all those issues basically because of that. So that's what you got to remember, that's where it falls into. Because basically insomnia, I think is it in here? Because for some reason insomnia falls under mental. Let me see. I need to find it specifically. But I know insomnia falls under that, and that's what they tied it into. So as neurological conditions. Or maybe it doesn't. I've always sworn that they tie the insomnia in there. I've never seen somebody get a separate rating for it. Well, if it took me off of work for 3 months because of mental health, I go back to work in July. Yeah, that's the problem is that you're gonna deal with that. You're gonna deal with your supervisors as a higher up having an issue with you fucking taking care of yourself. That's always gonna be an issue. That's always been an issue in the military. Hasn't changed. But the thing is fuck them. You got to take care of yourself. That's it. It's nothing else. You got to take care of yourself. That's cranial nerve disease of peripheral nerves. Your sciatic nerve. That's another one. You got back problems, leg problems. You got shit shooting down your leg. Sciatic nerve. That's another claim there. Oh, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Go take a quick piss. I'll be right back. It's like a family tree. Part of you, part of me. And if we should separate, go your own, I won't wait. It's like a family tree, part of you. All right. So your hip hurts like hell. I may need to go downstairs. So that's something that you need to claim, Mike. Your hip is another claim. That's another claim. That's something that you need to make sure you're filing for. The joints. Because that's another claim there. You have hip issues. Hip issues lead to back issues. Hip issues lead to leg issues. Those are claims you need to make sure you're putting together and finding. The thing is, like I said, you have that pain. Like it says, you have pain on your lower leg injury. That could be your hip is hurting, and then it is causing your leg to be aggravated because you have to compensate for the other side. Let me see. Because they have the hip abduction, which is basically, and the hip flexion. So they're going to probably try to put you on your back to see how you can move your thing. It goes from 0 to 125. You can if you're like laying flat on your back and you can move your leg all the way back, that's not going to work. You have to basically not be able to, you have the like very minimal where you start feeling pain. Same thing when your hip is going outward. They're going to have you go with your leg outward and see how far you can go. If you go 45 degrees, you're good. If you can't go that far, like shit, if you just going like this and it's pain, you let them know, like, look, pain right here. Same thing, pain right here. That's it. And that's how you're going about it. Because me, I had a fucking tear in my fucking hip. I filed for that. But I had also the MRI showing that I had a tear in my hip. And I had been running on that thing, and I had been on a profile for who knows how long because of my hip and me running on a tear. It just wasn't a clear cut tear. It was just like basically I had a tear. It wasn't the whole way, but it was something that had been affecting me for the past, like, the last 3 years of my military career. I had a tear in my hip, which I was still running. I would go off and on running. Sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't. And that's something I would deal with. So, but I filed a claim for that. That's what I say. Anything that you have, let's see, what is that? I say hip. Well, that's hip replacement. I don't think you need a hip replacement, but if you do get one, is there. For your fingers, well, that's amputations. You're not getting anything amputated. I'm hoping you don't have to get anything amputated, but that's like losses of 1 foot and stuff like that. If you lose any limb or something like that, that's where you fall into the special monthly compensation also. So that's also something there. If you've gotten any x-rays, Mike, over the time that you've been in the military and it showed something, that's another claim. Anything that you may have an x-ray for that shows an issue, that's a claim. If it's while in service, you got that x-ray, file that as a claim, no matter what the hell it is, no matter how long ago it was. If you have an x-ray showing you have shoulder issues, where you don't have the space to actually move your shoulder, and it's shown that it's progressively gotten worse. Because that's the thing with mine. My shoulder at first, it was like I started getting the pain. The x-ray didn't show anything. I did the last x-ray basically maybe like when I was like 7 months out of ETSing. I did that last one. And the lady told me, I was like, look, man, either you need surgery to basically shave off bone to be able to move it, or you can keep trying to get steroid shots, but you're not supposed to keep on, like, stuff like that, or just deal with the pain. And literally, I just deal with the pain. Some days I can't move my shit at all. Some days I can. But another claim, like I said, all that stuff that you have to, anything, man. Look, when if you sound like a damn Rice Krispies box and you hear the snap, crackle, and pop, claim. That's all I gotta say. If you hear the snap, crackle, and pop when you get up, when you move, when you do this, when you do that, that is a claim. I don't care what it is. If you heard the snap, the crack, the pop, it is what it is. Shit, with my back, I can feel like every time, like if I've been standing for too long and I stretch it, I feel my back actually expanding when I stretch it. I never used to have that. But that's because my discs have lost so much of the fucking cartilage that it's just like they scrunch up more. Like I've lost, I think, almost half an inch of height. I've lost. Where I still say I'm 6 feet, but I am no longer 6 feet tall. I've lost height because of my back and the degenerative disc disease. Because I don't have that space that it's supposed to be there. I've lost so much, and I still deal with it now. I go to the chiropractor all the time, and it's just like the same pain, and she can just tell. It's like, yeah, your shit keeps moving a lot. That's what it is. But anything you have x-rays for, is anything you have MRIs for, if you got seen for headaches at any point, file for all that stuff. You have it, like I said, you have a bunch of claims right there on that letter that they found the information for. That's something you need to file and make sure you're claiming. That's something you have to make sure you are definitely putting in a claim for. You have to make sure you are putting in a claim for that. That has to be in there. Anything that you have a profile for. Because when was this one? Shit, and you've had these for some time. The leg injury since 2017. That's 7 years. They changed the ACFT for you in 2021, and the sleep apnea, basically, you got it since 2022. That information, that's what you have to go off of. You have to use that. Uh, so, and that's mostly it. But like I said, with your mental health thing, the insomnia, I've always seen it. Hold on, let me see. Let's check GPT real quick. Hold on. See, so I got the answer. That's why Chat GPT is also a good thing. Just got to double check it at sometimes. But as this thing keeps getting better, a lot of information is being pushed out, and it is giving you that. So basically, it says insomnia itself may not be listed as a standalone condition, but it can be evaluated under broader categories of mental health disorders, such as anxiety disorders, depressive disorders, or PTSD, where insomnia is often a symptom. So basically, you're getting that, you got that 70% rating probably because of your mental, the depressive disorder, but they said it is also caused majorly because of your insomnia. So basically, that is probably like the underlying symptom that is causing your depression to be even worse because of it is the insomnia, is what they're saying. So that's why I say, like, with that, you are at the 70% mark, unless you go, like I said, unless you get to the point where it's just like, that's as bad as it's gonna get, then it's gonna be hard for you to get an increase on that for your mental health. Mental health does not conform or is not supported by the findings on the examination report. The rating agency shall return the report to the examiner to substantiate the diagnosis, which basically is, that's where you want to have the nexus letter for it. The diagnosis of a mental disorder is changed. The rating agency shall determine what the new diagnosis represents: progression of the prior diagnosis, correction of an error in the prior diagnosis, or development of a new and separate condition. If it is not clear from the available records what the change of diagnosis represents, the rating agency shall return the report to the examiner for determination. So basically, like I said, you are rated at 70%. For that, they're going to tie in your depressive disorder. They usually just tie that in, and they'll put that together because insomnia is basically one of those that causes that. That is one of the reasons for it. So they're just going to do it that way. They're not going to give you something different. So like I said, if you increase it, it's because your increase is basically going to put you in this mark where it's like total occupational and social impairment due to such symptoms as gross impairment in thought process or communication, persistent delusions or hallucinations. Arthritis in your leg, you need to file for that. But what does that fall under is the thing. Because the thing is you have certain things. Let's see. With service incurred lower extremity amputation or shortening and disabling arthritis developing the same extremity on both lower extremities with indications of earlier or more severe arthritis and injured extremity. No, that's with the amputation. Because this you have to find, because if you have arthritis in your leg, was it diagnosed as arthritis in your leg? Because it's basically this fatigue, coordination, principles. Injuries. See, and it says it here. With any form of arthritis, painful motion is an important factor of disability. The facial expression, wincing, etc., on pressure and manipulation should be carefully noted and definitely related to affected joints. Muscle spasms will greatly assist the identification. So you had a fracture on your leg. Because the thing is, so you got 0% for the fracture. What you can do is you can try to file an increase for that. That basically the fracture didn't heal correctly. You have issues still with the leg where you may feel pain with it. You don't have the range of motion the same or something like that. That's what you can do with that. For adding arthritis, I can't give you an answer. I don't want to give you anything because I'm not sure. That's why I'm trying to look it up. I'm trying to see where I can find anything that says like, let's see. I'm trying to find something that will assist you, that it'll show you like, hey, this is what you want to file it as with the diagnostic code. Because the thing is this says multi-joint arthritis except post-traumatic and gout. It's an active process. Of health objectives supported by examination. Because the thing is you have a fracture that happened in service. That is something you can probably file something for, because you're going to have the x-rays and the documentation for that, and you have the profile showing that it needed to be changed. Now the question is what do you file that under, and how do you, or do you just file for an increase? Because the thing is Mike, what you have to do is look at the diagnostic code that they gave you. So when you look at the documentation, look at what the diagnostic code is that they filed that claim for. Because then that way it's easier for you to be able to go into the CFR, look at what it is, and then see what it requires to increase it. See what I'm saying? So I'm not sure what that fracture fell under, because they give you 0%, but a lot of the times it's like, hey, if it's not diagnosed correctly or it's not claimed correctly, they'll be like, yeah, we know you got this and it happened. We're just going to give you 0% and connect it. You can go get seen for it. But it might actually fall under something else that needs to be done differently. You see what I'm saying? Let me see if anything is on fractures. An open community fracture with muscle tendon. Disability muscles. An open community fracture with muscle tendon will be rated as severe. Group involved on some locations, through injury with muscle damage. But this is all only talking about muscle. I don't see anything. As regards the joints, the factors of disabilities are the reductions of the normal exertion of movements in different planes. Injury, because the thing is, like I said, you can fall for an increase with the fracture, because it's just like your leg don't operate the same. You can't move it as much. You have less mobility, which what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to make it that you go to physical therapy to help it fix. So that might be those ratings. Needed that stretch, I guess. No vertebrae fracture. Pelvic bones. Variety of residuals following these fractures necessitates right now. Well, that's if you fractured your hip. I don't think you did that, but you say you have hip pain, so you might want to get that diagnosed. You might want to get an X-ray or an MRI done if you can on that hip. If it's bothering that much, go get it get documentation, bro. That's what you got to do. You got to look for it. I'm just trying to find, because this is evaluation of muscle disabilities, which doesn't really do anything for me. No, this is Title 18. It leaves the fucking thing, which I don't want it to do. Part 4. Because this is muscle injuries. Amputation rule, dominant hand, and adequate exam. Circulatory disturbances, started. And that's the thing, I can't really find anything because it just talks about the muscle. So like the muscle breaking and stuff like that. I'm trying to find something for you when it comes to fractures. Static foot arthritis with surface incurred lower extremity amputation or shortening, and assembling arthritis developing the same extremity or in both lower extremities, for indications of earlier or more severe arthritis on the injured extremity, including also arthritis of the lumbroscal joints and spine, if associated with the leg amputation or shortening, will be considered as service incurred, provided, however, the arthritis affecting joints not directly subject to a strain as a result of the service incurred. See, but that, because this only says amputation, which is not, it doesn't fall under what you're dealing with. Because I would still say you probably need to get another X-ray or something to evaluate that. Same thing with the pelvic bones. If you have like an injury or some sort of like that, you need to make sure you get that from there and get that documented. Because this is the joint motion thing that they're going to show. So basically, this is how they go, the movement, depending on how much you can move and stuff like that. If you got back issues, it's basically how far forward you can bend and stuff like that. That's how they look at it. Because the thing is no, because this is what it looks like it falls under, but it doesn't fall under that either. This one could be what you deal with, degenerative arthritis because of the fracture, and you might tie this one into your leg fracture, which could be 10 or 20. But then it says involvement of 2 or more major joints. But then it says other than post-traumatic. So I have to see where it is. See, so post-traumatic arthritis, rate as limitation of motion, dislocation, or other specified instability under the affected joint. There are 2 or more joints affected. Each rating shall be combined in accordance with. So basically, that's basically if you got post-traumatic arthritis because of your fracture of the leg. Osteoporosis, residuals, bursitis, gout. Shit, it could be gout too that you have. See, but then with some of these is like they know you can have surgery for and fix, so that changes it. Associated with seeing. Shit, I never even knew about this one though. Fibromyalgia, widespread musculoskeletal pain and tender points with or without associated fatigue, sleep disturbances, stiffness, paresthesias, headache, irritable bowel syndrome, depression, anxiety, or Raynaud's-like symptoms that are constant. So if you fall under that, that's another one that I didn't even know. I didn't even know what the hell this was or even heard of it before. But that is something that you can use to connect if you are dealing with widespread pain. Prosthetics and implants, you don't fall under that. Permanent, no. Amputations, don't deal with that. And this one shows basically all the little, everything, if it gets amputated to a certain point on your finger, you get more percentage for it. And it shows here. The shoulder and arm. And this is where they do the flexion thing. Deformities, movement. How much you can move your forearm, how much you can turn it, your elbow, all that stuff. How much you can move it in a circular motion, in an angle, up, down, stuff like that. The wrist. This is all on the hands. This is on the spine. And it all falls in the same thing, like degenerative arthritis. But that's disc disease for the thing. The spine, depending on how you can rotate, how much you can bend, stuff like that. That's the claim. The hip and thigh, same thing. Knee and leg. Here we go. Because like I said, you can file limitation of movement for that fractured leg. So you already have it connected like that, but you're putting it in as, hey, I have limitation of movement for my leg. I can't extend it the whole way. This is the percentage. Flexion. This is the percentages. Shit, I didn't even know this was one. I did get the shin splints, but they only gave me... I only got fucking... I think I got 0% or 10%. And this is for shin splints. So this is tibia and fibula impairment of... If you need a brace or whatever the case, but medial tibial stress syndrome or shin splints, because you can have shin splints off of that fracture too. So I said there's a lot of stuff that you can file for. Oh, there we go. Found it. Plantar fasciitis. I was not gonna find it because I was not spelling it right. I don't think we spelled it right with the two I's. Bilateral, you got a 10. No relief from both non-surgical and surgical treatment. Unilateral. See, it only goes higher if you have treatment or if you've gotten treatment for it. That's how that one goes up. If you got flat feet. If you flat-footed, that's another claim. Unilateral, bilateral. Look at that. Severe evidence of marked deformity. Moderate weight-bearing line over medial. So depending on what you fall under, you can, if you're flat-footed, it can go from 10 to 50, depending on how bad it is. Well, for all tools, great tool. If you have callus, is it bunions? I think you can file for that also. That's another one. The hallux valgus is that. It usually doesn't give you much. See, single toe 0. The skull, the ribs, your butt, shoulder, girdle, and arm, the forearm and hand, foot and leg. Pelvic girdle and thigh, torso and neck, miscellaneous. Yeah, that's all it is. But within there, you have to have something that you can claim. But like I said, these are all different diagnostic codes. Like I said, there's over 3,000 of them that people can file for. It's just that most of the time people don't know what it is. And then the thing is when you file because then that's why sometimes it's good to talk to a VSO, because they've been doing this for a while, and they may know what it is you're supposed to file it as when it comes to a diagnostic code. Because like I said, you can put what is it? Muscle spasms. Muscle spasms does not fall under a diagnostic code, so it doesn't help. But the medication that you take falls into making you dizzy or grogginess and stuff like that. But it's just finding those things that are connected to it. Infectious diseases, respiratory, digestive, gynecological, endocrine, conditions of convulsive, mental, dental, and oral. And that's it really. But yeah, that's the thing, Mike. You have a bunch of things you can claim, and you got to remember the insomnia one, the mental health rating. I wouldn't bother with it, because that one, unless like you're at 70, unless you are like not able mentally to do stuff, like you really can't do stuff, I wouldn't file for an increase for that, because it's not going to change. Because they might evaluate you and be like, oh man, he's doing better, and they might drop you down. In that case, I will leave that one alone. For your leg, there's a claim in that. You have it at 0% for the fracture. Either you got an arthritis in it, you have you don't have the same range of motion and stuff like that, and that's evident because of the fact that you have it on your profile, that they had to change the ACFT and modify the ones you were able to do because of the issues you had with your leg. So that being a 0% is already service connected is great. Now it's just filing what coincides with that to add percentages to that on top of that. Because you already have it in your thing. You got modified ACFT, you have a fracture, you have that documentation. Now it's like it's causing other issues. Now the same way you have it with your hip, if it's the same side or the opposite side, the fracture to your one side basically is causing pain on the other side, because you have to compensate for the fact that you were injured on one side and now you had to walk or rely more on your other side to do it, which causes your fucking hip to be unbalanced, which causes you pain, which can cause the sciatic nerve to shoot down pain down your leg because of the fact that your hips are uneven and your nerve is being pinched. Like stuff like that, that's all stuff that can be formulated and it keeps on getting connected to it that you can take advantage of. I think the medication is starting to wear off on me sitting all the time. But yeah, that's what I said. Like, look, you have stuff to file already. IBS, GERD, hearing loss, tinnitus. For most of those, for at least tinnitus, that's an automatic 10%. The hearing loss, depending on how bad your hearing loss is, it could be 0, could be 10, could be worse, depending on how bad your hearing loss is. The GERD most likely will just be the 10% unless it's worse, like I said. The IBS can be 10% or worse, depending on what I said. The sleep apnea, that 50% is coming. Don't even worry about that, because you have the documentation. It's just the wording that they provided on that profile when you submitted it, probably, or the way they looked at it is what caused the issue where they didn't look it up as sleep apnea. They saw it as pausing and breathing. Same fucking shit. And then what else? Your leg fracture is at 0, connected. You can file for an increase because of the loss of mobility or not being able to move as much. You do that. Your hip, make sure to go get a profile for it. You already probably have a profile or had one. Get documentation. Try to see if you can get an x-ray or an MRI showing that you have an issue with your hip, so that way you have that documentation, and when you submit the claim, you could throw that in there and just be like, hey, here's the x-ray showing that I have this. What else? If you have any back issues, try to see if you can get, I know it's gonna be difficult as hell to try to get fucking x-rays and shit like that for your back and have all that shit looked at the same time, because they know you're getting out, so they're gonna be more hesitant to try to give you those fucking imagery. But try to get it as much as you can. If you have an outside doctor, try to do it that way. Try to do one and the other. So if you could do it that way, where it's like, hey, the guard will help you do the fucking hip x-ray, and your fucking medical provider or your own doctor will help you do your spine or your back, and do it that way, so that way it's not all on the same thing. Just the thing is that you're going to have to service connect the ones from the outside, whichever one you do. But if you already have the stuff there, it's there. You're still in service, and you're going to be within a year of actually getting out of the military, which provides you the availability to put in everything in there. And I believe they back pay that too the day you get out, as long as you don't file. Well, I would say in the next 12 days, prepare everything you have, all the documentation you have, all the stuff. But what you do is, Mike, intent to file a claim. Go online and fucking June 15th, start the claim. Doesn't have to be processed right away, because you can start the claim on June 15th and you have up to a year before that claim expires. File it, just start it up on June 15th, so that basically while everything goes on and everything is being documented and you're looking for the answers or getting documentation and all that, the back pay will come to June 15th, no matter what. So you're at 80%, you're going to get paid at that 80% mark. But you file all this stuff and you're determined to get to 100, you're at 100, they're going to back pay you like if you were supposed to be getting from 100 from June 15th to whenever they decide that. So make sure you do that when you file. The day after you out of the military, the 15th, when you are retired, file that intent to claim and just leave it there. Get everything together. Like I said, break everything down, snapshots of everything, putting it together, consolidating it, giving them that information, so that way when they have it, it is plain and simple. If you want to, shit, highlight the shit if you need to. The oh, so then your shit is, so how did that, if you did your intent to file on March 11th, but that's why I don't know how it works for the guard then, because the thing is you're not technically out of the military yet. That confuses me then, because if you were able to already file on the 11th, no, I know you're in the National Guard, but the thing is you haven't. Oh yeah, but you can still have the disability. I don't know how that works then. Shit, if it goes March 11th, leave it at March 11th. By all means, leave it like that. No. I know how it works. It's just like, yeah. The one thing that I always found interesting is that y'all can still receive. You can still receive the disability while you're in the National Guard. So that's always something that has thrown me off. So it's like you can still receive disability while you're in the National Guard. So that's where I don't know how your intent to file works. No, yeah, I know you can't receive both. But if you're able to file claims while there, then it's basically whenever you file it, that's when you get it to. For active duty, is different. For active duty, you have to be out of the military for those claims to start. So you can start them whenever you want, but it won't count towards it until you are out of service. So that's why for you, I'm not entirely sure how that works. But if you already have it on March 11th and that's what they're going off of, by all means, leave it that way. Don't change it. Don't file something else. Just basically start tacking on everything into that March 11th one, get everything together, and then submit that one when you're ready to submit it. But you said you had already submitted a supplemental claim, so that's why I was just like, this shit is giving me a whole list on damn Chat GPT. Okay. Always, my man. No, thank you. You've helped me a lot. You've helped me a lot, and you helped this page out more than you realize. So I can only say thank you also. But I'm looking, because it does say you have to provide the NGB Form 22, which is the Report of Separation and Record of Service, or NGB Form 23, the Retirement Points Accounting. That has to be filed with that. But you were on Title 10, so it makes it easier for you to file that because you were on active duty with it. Because that's why I said it, like, it makes it so confusing with that. Because it basically says you have to be on active duty and not just on training purposes, which is Title 32, which is the regular one. That's what it says. State active duty under Title 32 typically does not qualify unless the injury or condition is directly related to the federal duty status. Yeah, because it says for filing process requires more detailed proof of qualifying service periods and direct connection to the federal duty or qualifying training. But since you were in active duty, which is Title 10, that makes it easier for you compared to others. But you still have the issue where you're falling into that because it's just like that's the problem you're running into. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. And that's what makes it even worse that they didn't service connect it when you have the diagnosis while you're on active duty. So I would say then make sure that when you submit that, you submit it with the if you can put your orders in there with that as part of it too. If you haven't already submitted it, put your active duty, like your Title 10, like, hey, look, this is when it happened. I was on active duty orders from this time to this time. This is when I was diagnosed with it, and this is when it happened. So that way that can also be a help to your claim because of the fact that now you are showing that you were on active duty orders during this time period, you were diagnosed on active duty on that time, just to basically give them more documentation, so there's no doubt in their mind where they have to like try to look up and stuff like that. It's just like, no, that's part of the claim. Look, active Title 10 orders, boom. Diagnosis right after, boom, on this day between that. That's the thing, man. It's just like, okay. These people just want to make you fight for it, bro. That's all I can say at this point. These people, they make it fight for it, and the thing is, it's just like, because the thing is like I said, most veterans just give up. You are not one of those. You are going to continue that fight because you know you have it there and it's in there. You're going to get it. The thing is if it was anybody else, they would have been like, you know what? They denied it. I'm not even going to fight this shit anymore. I'm not going to get it. And then they just leave it at that. And then they just leave 50% just sitting out because they decided, you know what? I'm not going to try to bother to look into it. But that's the thing, man. You have to fight for your claims, and that's the thing. It's just like people don't understand that. It was just like, it shouldn't be this much of a fight for people that serve this country. That's I think what grinds me the most. It's just like us as veterans, no matter, like I said, no matter how long you served, not everybody's service was the same. Not everybody went through the same. Some people get fucking, within their first week, they're in a fucking rollover or fucking training accident or some shit. That could be in the first week. Doesn't make you any less of a veteran, but you probably have a traumatic fucking, you have trauma from that shit. I have a friend that fucking rolled over in a fucking LMTV. That was part of his fucking PTSD claim. He got that. Some people get blown up. Some people don't. Everybody has it different. But the thing is depending on how badly of a mentality that the military was able to ingrain in you, it was a, hey, just suck it up mentality and just move on. Carry on mentality. A lot of people get stuck in that. It was just like, fuck, I got fucking back issues. Well, suck it up. Keep it moving. And that's where we fall into that problem where people don't file claims. You, on the other hand, do you know what you got to do? You're going to keep on fighting for those claims. You have the claims, you have the documentation, and you keep fighting to get it because it's like, yo, I have my shit here. Y'all see I have it. Y'all see everything that happened. Everything is good to go. I need this processed. And it's just keep on fighting for it. Like I said, you have all the documentation you need. With the addition of those medical profiles, that's going to help a lot. I was just like, the only problem is that most of the time these claims or these reviews end up taking like 6 months to a year. So you can be waiting a long time. And the problem is that a lot of times people just decide, you know what, I'm going to file another claim because this shit is taking too long. And that's where your shit gets messed up because now your filing moves up. So that's where people need to realize that, and they need to see that. It's just like, it's unfortunate that we have to deal with this as veterans. It's unfortunate that we have to fight for stuff that is clearly in our record. It's unfortunate that the VA doesn't go ahead and process these. Like how it said in your letter, this does not mean. Yeah, and that's what it is. But the thing is sometimes people get so impatient that it's just like, you know what, I'm gonna file something else. Or I'm gonna file the same thing again, but differently. So then your shit gets wiped out. Because now you started your whole process over. Now let's say that shit gets denied and people don't do it. And that's why I think a lot of people mess up, is that they don't actually appeal the thing. And you have a year to appeal what they said they denying. So if you go within that time period and you claim it and you appeal, you at least, once the appeal process is gone through, that's basically back pay from that point you started. But if you wait past that year and you didn't appeal it and then you refile it again, you just basically started the timetable over, and it just ends up hurting you. You ain't going to get the back pay from the beginning because it's not the same claim. It's something different. But now you have to start the process over where you have to find the documentation and then probably get some more documentation, because you could have just appealed the first one and then just added stuff to it. Now you got to redo all the paperwork and probably get more. Like, it's a fucking process, man. But like I said, you have shit. Damn. That's a lot. That's nice. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't get that much. I got maybe, I think it was like 7,000. But the thing is I ended up with 90%. I was at 90, I think it was like 92% or 90% when I got out. And then it was just filing those last couple of things, and it took till the following year and a half to get it done. And then I got it, and then I got like $7,000 in back pay, and that was about it. But hey, if you're getting that back pay, it's just like you file, you take your time, but it's just like fighting for what's yours. You're entitled to 100%. You're the only one that can get it for you. Nobody else can get the 100% for you. You just have to clarify and make sure you're pushing through, making sure you are identifying all those documents, all that stuff you need to get to that 100%. Once you get to that 100%, it's different because now you get those entitlements. Like most states, you get the property tax exemptions for a certain amount. Some, it's like you don't pay state tax. If you're retiring, you don't get your retirement pay taxed. So basically, if you're not getting your retirement pay tax and then you're not getting, and you're getting your disability, you're getting 2 checks tax-free, which is crazy. That's like Florida. Florida seems to be like the best fucking state so far when I've done all my research. You don't get property tax. You don't have state tax. You don't have, your retirement pay doesn't get taxed. So all that stuff adds in, and that's a good amount of chunk of change that you're getting from there. But it is what it is. It's just figuring it out and doing it. That's where comes the problem. It's just like you have to be able to do this, and you have to be able to. You got to be able to pull all that stuff together, and it's just working towards making sure you get it together and doing it that way. Once you do it that way, you'll be better off. You won't have that issue. You'll continue. But I think I'm gonna end it on that. What is it? 2? We've been going for like 2.5 hours now. Yeah, you're gonna end it like that. I need a break. I need to walk around or something. Get some food in me. But Mike, I appreciate you. We're gonna be on here on the 9th. I might do something on my birthday. I might just do like a little pop-up stream, just quick, talk to people on my birthday. I might not. I might just chill out. We'll see what we do. Or I might just game on my birthday. We'll see how that goes. Still haven't formulated how I'm gonna do it. But I definitely will be doing this, continue doing this every Sunday. We will start trying to incorporate a bit of like the TikTok community, because I know there's a bunch of veterans out there also, so I can reach veterans there and then probably send them over here to these YouTube videos, or have people on the TikTok channel and watch videos through there and have the Q&A. I just got to try to figure out a way to be able to have everybody view each other's questions. So integrated way of like, hey, Military Mike asked a question. You have it like you have the full screen on the TV, on the PC one. You ask a question there. I'm also streaming on mobile, but that question is not seen, and vice versa. So I just have to formulate a way to putting all of those together where everybody can view each other's chat, see what everybody's asking, so that way I could do it, or try to find a way maybe if I can highlight people's questions and populate them into like the screen, so that way it's like, oh, so-and-so asked the question. This is the question. Everybody can see it that way. I'll figure out what I can do with that. That way everybody has the ability to see each other's questions. I can answer it, and it's not like a whole separate thing. But Mike, again, thank you. Everybody that stopped by, asked the question, thank you. Like I said, this is always a platform to ask questions, get assistance. I don't charge anybody for this. This is free information. It's just trying to give people the guidance and show them like, hey, this is where you can help yourself be better, get claims done, learn something, learn your benefits, learn your entitlements, take advantage of them, and make sure you get what you got or what you gave for being in the military. Make sure you get something back from it, so that it's not a one-sided affair where you're hurt, in pain, or dealing with issues, and the military got to enjoy the best part of you. Now, this way you can get some compensation, some benefits and entitlements that take care of you on the back end while you are yourself, basically. And it's not something that it's taking you out. But Mike, if anything, I'll probably see you next Sunday, or if I live stream at some point throughout the week. If I don't see you then, if I don't see you next week on the 14th, like I said, congratulations on your retirement. Thank you for being part of the channel. Thank you for being a member of the channel. I appreciate that greatly. Like I said, we're going to continue doing this. Like I said, we're going to continue working until you get that 100%. Like I said, keep going through your stuff. Keep finding those little things here and there. Keep finding ways to connect these things. You have the stuff you need. Is just, like I said, putting that together in writing, getting x-rays, all that stuff, so that it shows that's what you have. That's what you're dealing with. This is my proof that I have these issues and it is service connected. Hey, appreciate you. Thank you. That's the most I can say. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you. You have a great rest of your week. Like I said, I'll see you probably next Sunday. If I don't see you from here to the 14th, happy retirement. Have a blessed day. Have a great day. Enjoy. And thank you for doing your part and doing all those years and doing your time in the military. It's appreciated from one veteran to another. Thank you. That's all I got. But I will see y'all. I'll see everyone around. Everyone have a blessed rest of the week. Remember, take care of each other, educate one another, look out for one another, love one another, and be great. That's all I gotta say. Just Cruz, signing out. Peace.